how to do a full cleanup project, catch-up project, bookkeeping for an entire year. Whatever you want to call it, so many business owners need an entire year of bookkeeping done because a lot of people wait until the end of the year or they wait until they get their business started to hire a bookkeeper. So sometimes you're going to start in real time on the first of the month. Other times you're going to start 3 months ago, 6 months ago, 12 months ago, 4 years ago. Yes, that has happened to me before. I've done a 4-year bookkeeping cleanup project before. I'm going to add this video to my course, and I'm also going to upload this video to my YouTube channel. So if you're watching this video in my course, this is just going to be a part of the regular programmed curriculum. If you're watching this on my YouTube channel, if we haven't had the chance to meet yet, my name is Zach Pasquarello. I've been doing bookkeeping for the past 4 years, and now I just make these videos because I love teaching other people everything that I know. And if you haven't taken my course yet already, there's a link in the description of this video on YouTube. You can sign up for my course. It does cost money. If you want to start a bookkeeping business without spending any money, you can also do that. You don't have to buy my course if you don't want to, if you don't want to spend money. But if you want a more structured system to learn how to start a bookkeeping business, my course will teach you everything you need to know, including how to do a cleanup or catch-up project. So it all starts with the quote. It all starts with your first conversation with the client. Write these down. There are 3 important questions you want to ask during the quote and this during the consultation, and this is going to set you up so that you know immediately if they need a catch-up or cleanup project. First question, do you have QuickBooks? Are you currently using QuickBooks Online? If they say no, they're probably going to need somewhat of a cleanup project. If they say yes, okay, that's good to know. Just whatever their answer is, make sure you're taking notes, write it down. Are you currently using QuickBooks Online? This might be a good opportunity for you to let them know, I only work with QuickBooks Online. So if you don't have it, are you open to using QuickBooks Online? The subscription costs like $30 to $50 a month. All of my clients use it. It's the most popular accounting software. Are you currently using QuickBooks Online? Next question, when do you want me to start? When do you want me to start bookkeeping? It all depends on the month that you're having the conversation, of course. But let's just say you're having the conversation January 2025, first month of the year. When do you want me to start your bookkeeping? Do you want me to start fresh in real time, January 1st? Or do you need me to go back? Do you need me to do all of your bookkeeping in 2024? When did your business start? When did your last bookkeeper stop doing the bookkeeping? When do you want me to start doing my bookkeeping? This is going to be the question that allows you to gauge the complexity and the length of the cleanup project. So whatever they answer with, let them know my bookkeeping services, whatever my monthly charge is, whatever my monthly fee, that fee will apply to each month. So for example, if I charge you $200 per month for bookkeeping, if you want me to do 6 months of bookkeeping, that's going to be 6 times $200, or 12 months will be 12 times $200. Just let them know early in the beginning of the conversation, just so you're not wasting your time, because some people might be like, hey, I want an entire year of bookkeeping, but I'm not going to spend more than $500. If that's you, then unfortunately, we just cannot work together. I usually set a minimum $2,000 for 12 months of bookkeeping, minimum, at the bare minimum, $2,000, and it goes up significantly. Usually $2,000, it could go up to $5,000, $6,000, or even $7,000 for 1 year of bookkeeping. But I quote it the exact same. I quote it per month, multiply it by 12, just like I would anything else. So in order to quote this cleanup project, so first you ask them, are they currently using QuickBooks? When do they want me to start? Now you have an idea. They have QuickBooks, they don't, or they want me to start 12 months ago, they want me to start right now. Now you kind of have an idea. So next question, third question, how many bank accounts do you have? How many credit card accounts do you have? This is so important. I cannot stress this enough. You need to write this down. As soon as they tell you, oh, I've got 2 bank accounts. Okay, great. Who do you bank with? Oh, one bank account is with Chase and the second bank account is Wells Fargo. Okay, great. You, as the bookkeeper, during the sales consultation, write that down. This is one of the most important pieces of information. I'll tell you why. How many credit cards do you have? Oh, I just got one credit card, American Express. Great. So 2 bank accounts, 1 credit card. Okay, now, in order for me to give you a quote, I need to see your 12 most recent or last 12 bank statements and credit card statements. So let me get your email address real quick. I'm acting like I'm having a sales consultation. Let me get your email address real quick. Okay, john@abc.com. Okay, John, I'm going to send you an email right now. I got my computer up. I'm going to send you an email right now. I'm requesting your 2024 bank statements for Wells Fargo and Chase. And then I'm also requesting in the email, I'm about to send it to you, 12 months of credit card statements from American Express. Okay, I just sent you that email. Do you have your phone? Could you check real quick? Do you have your computer? Could you check real quick? Let me know if you got that email. Okay, you got it? Great. Okay, as soon as you send me those bank statements and those credit card statements, I will get you a quote within 24 hours. So we can move as quickly as you want. I'm still acting like I'm having this sales consultation. We can move as quickly as you want. So if you want me to get started right away, send over those bank statements as soon as you can, and then I'll get you a quote as soon as I have a chance to look at it, usually same day, if not within 24 hours. Now, it's important that you ask him or them, business owner, potential client, ask them, who do they bank with? Who are their credit cards with? Because so often they'll send you the bank statements. If you didn't ask those questions, they'll send you the bank statements. You'll get them. Great. Here's your quote. It's only $2,000 to do the entire year. Oh, that's amazing. You start working, and all of a sudden you start seeing these transfers and these deposits and these credit card payments. And you're like, hey, every month you're paying off this Discover credit card. What is this? Oh my goodness, forgot. I do have another credit card. Oh yeah, sorry, I have a savings account that I do move money in and out of. Like I forgot to send that to you. So it's just important because this always happens. It's important during the sales consultation, be crystal clear, establish early. What bank accounts do you have? What credit card accounts do you have? And then you can even include in your quote, this quote of $2,000 is based on the 2 bank accounts you told me you have. That way, when they say, oh, shoot, I forgot, I do have this Discover credit card and this other savings account, you can say, okay, no problem. I can totally work with that. It's going to be an extra $800. The original quote was based on those 2 bank accounts you told me about. Now we're introducing an additional credit card with additional transactions, another savings account. No problem. I can absolutely do that for you with the bookkeeping and QuickBooks. It's just going to be an extra $800. Don't ever just do more work for free. I promise you, it's to be expected. It's business. They're introducing more work halfway through the project. So just stand firm, be transparent, be upfront, be open, let them know, totally, no problem, I can do it, but it's going to cost extra. There should be no complaints. There's more work introduced halfway through the project. Of course, that's going to cost more money. Okay, so 3 questions, just to review. 3 questions. Are you currently using QuickBooks? When do you want me to start? How many bank accounts and credit cards do you have, and who are they with? That's really all you need to know during the sales consultation. Get their email address, send them the email requesting the bank statements and credit card statements. And then if they have a QuickBooks account, ask them, do you want me to work in your current QuickBooks account, or do you want me to start a new QuickBooks account? Most of the time, they're going to want you to continue working in their existing QuickBooks account, but sometimes the old QuickBooks account is just a total mess, really disorganized. I just want you to start fresh. Just start fresh, January 1st, 2024. Let's get a new QuickBooks account, new chart of accounts, new balance sheet, clean P&L. Let's start fresh. January 2024, I'll send you my 12 most recent bank statements, credit card statements. That's a perfect situation. That would be ideal. If they want you to use their existing QuickBooks, no problem. Just invite me to your QuickBooks. That way I can get access, I can take a look around, and that'll help me give you a quote. So get the 12 most recent bank statements and credit card statements, get invited to their QuickBooks, and that's really all you need. And then quote them. And now, they accept the quote, send them your client agreement, and send them the invoice. This is really important. Don't do any work until they pay the invoice. I can't tell you how many times I've sent the client agreement. The client agreement has even been signed. I send the invoice, never hear from them. They don't pay the invoice. Maybe they are too busy. Maybe they hired a different bookkeeper. Maybe they decided to do it themselves. It doesn't matter. They never paid. I never started working. That's so important, especially if this is early in your bookkeeping business career. You're going to be so excited. You're going to be so excited. You're going to want to get started right away. Even if you get the bank statements, you get access to QuickBooks, you get the credit card statements, you're ready to go. You got all the information you need. This is your first client. You quoted them $5,000. They said yes. They signed the client agreement. And you're so excited. I'm just going to get started. I'm going to get a head start so I can get this project done quickly for my first client. Don't. Protect yourself. You lose all the leverage if you get started and they haven't paid, and you're going to get frustrated if they never pay. Instead, protect yourself. That way, if they never pay, no love lost. It's just business. No worries. I understand. You found a different bookkeeper. Totally fine. I didn't do any work except for give you the quote. No problem. Send them the quote. And then real quick, guys, if you're watching this on YouTube and if you want extra help, check out the course that I have. It's linked in the description of this video. It costs money. It'll help you, but you don't have to do it. If you want to start your bookkeeping business on your own without spending money, that's honestly what I did. So totally get it. But if you do want extra help, check out the course. Okay, so send them the quote and make sure you get paid. I usually quote 100% upfront. So if the project is $5,000, I'm sending you an invoice for $5,000. I used to do 50% upfront and 50% when the project was complete. I don't do that anymore. 100% upfront. I rarely get any pushback. If they do give you pushback, especially if you're brand new and you have no Google reviews, you have no referrals, you have no references, fine. We can do 50% upfront and then 50% when the project is complete, but definitely at least get 50% upfront before you get started. And then even better, get 100% upfront. That's what I do. Okay, so now you're paid. So now what do you do? There's a couple different things you could do depending on whether or not they already have QuickBooks or they're starting fresh. If they're starting fresh, that's great. Go to your QuickBooks Online accountant account and click on like the clients button in the top left-hand corner of your screen and then just add a client. All you need is their business name and their phone number and their email address. I think that's all you need. Business name, email, and phone number. And then you can create a new QuickBooks account. And then you're going to want to send your client an email saying, hey, I just signed you up for a new QuickBooks account. You're probably going to receive an email from QuickBooks relatively soon. Make sure you create an account for yourself because the link will expire quickly. So if you don't sign up now, the link's going to expire and it's going to be difficult to get you access to your QuickBooks account. So as soon as you get that link from QuickBooks, create your account. And then also, I need you to connect your bank accounts and your credit cards to the QuickBooks bank feed. Call me if you have any questions. I'd be happy to help walk you through how to do it. Also, here's a link. Side note, go to Google, type in QuickBooks Online, how to connect to the bank feed. And QuickBooks has a wonderful website. Get that URL, get that website, copy and paste it into your email and say, hey, here's a link to QuickBooks. They give you step-by-step instructions. They even give you a tutorial how to connect your bank accounts and credit cards to the QuickBooks bank feed. If you still have questions after watching the tutorial and reading the instructions, feel free to call me. I'd be happy to walk you through how to do everything. Finally, I cannot get started until you connect your bank accounts and your credit cards to the QuickBooks bank feed. I can't get started. Now you got to say that. And at this point, also, even if they've paid, there's really nothing you can do. So you got to wait until they do that. If they don't do it in 48 hours, call them, follow up. If they don't do it in 7 days, call them, follow up. Hopefully they take care of this as soon as possible so that you can get started. But keep in mind, if they haven't done their bookkeeping for the past 12 months, they're probably not super organized and they're probably not super eager to get their bookkeeping started. So it might take them a couple weeks to get started. So just keep that in mind. You're excited, but they're not excited about their bookkeeping. So try to contain your excitement. Try not to bother them too much. Don't stress them out too much. Just send friendly reminders after 2 days, after 7 days, every week. Like, hey, reminder, please connect your bank account to the QuickBooks bank feed. I do need that connection before I can get started. Let them know, like, I can't get started until you do that. Now, you might run into some problems. The bank transactions might not pull in all 12 months of data, which is really frustrating, but it happens all the time. So you have a couple options, and this is going to get kind of complicated, and it does depend on who they bank with, who their credit cards are with. There's a couple options. You can export the transactions directly from the online banking portal. So if you log into chase.com and go to your bank account, you can potentially download the transactions. It all depends on the bank. So you can, if they connect the bank accounts and if the data is not there, check to make sure that you have January 2024, February, March, April. Check to make sure you have every month of transactions in the bank feed, because oftentimes it doesn't go back much more than 3 or 6 months. So you might be missing that transaction data. So you have a couple options. Hopefully you can download the transactions directly from the bank into a CSV or an Excel spreadsheet, and then you can manually import those transactions into QuickBooks, into the bank feed. If you don't know how to do that, watch a tutorial. It's pretty simple. If that's not an option, there's an amazing website called DocuClipper.com. You can take bank statements, and I've used it before. It's 99% accurate. Take bank statements, upload. It does cost money. It's $40 per month. But if you're charging $5,000 for a cleanup, I'm sure you can afford to pay $40 for DocuClipper. Take your bank statements, upload them into DocuClipper, and then DocuClipper somehow magically converts those bank statements into an Excel spreadsheet. All you need is the date, description, amount. You need 3 columns in your spreadsheet. DocuClipper does it perfectly. DocuClipper will give you column A, the date, column B, description, column C, the amount. And that's all you need. And then you can download that, and then you can import those transactions into the QuickBooks bank feed. Okay, so now you're finally ready to get started. You went through the quoting process, you found out they need a cleanup, you went through the onboarding process, you sent them your client agreement. Oh, by the way, if you don't want to take my course, but you want to download my client agreement, it is for sale on my website, harrisburgbookkeeping.com/store, also listed in the description of this video. If you sign up for my course, the client agreement is already included for free. So don't worry about it. So they've signed the client agreement, they paid the invoice, you got them a QuickBooks account, they connected the bank feed, bank accounts, credit cards. Now you're finally ready to get started. A couple things I recommend before you get started: check the balance sheet, especially only if it's a pre-existing QuickBooks account. If they already had a QuickBooks account and you took it over, check the balance sheet. Check to see if there's bank accounts and liabilities and lines of credits and credit cards and assets. Like, just check the balance sheet to see if there's any other credit cards that they might have missed. And so, like, if they told you they just have American Express, but you look at the balance sheet and you happen to see, I don't know, a Capital One credit card, maybe this is a good opportunity. Ask them about the Capital One credit card. Say, hey, I see this on your balance sheet. Is this still an active credit card? Is it no longer in use? What's going on? So check out the balance sheet, see what kind of assets and liabilities they have. Maybe you could even send them the balance sheet and say, hey, here's your balance sheet as of December 2023. Here's your balance sheet. Just sending you this. Have a look at it. If you want to schedule a meeting, I'd be happy to talk to you about your balance sheet. And keep in mind, this is all before you get started. So at this point, you have no answers. You only have questions. So you can send them the balance sheet, and if they ask you questions, you're like, I haven't even done any of your bookkeeping yet. I have no idea. So this is a great opportunity to level the playing field and say, hey, here's your balance sheet as of right now, before I get started. So if there's anything unusual or incorrect or anything that needs to be fixed, you're not really on the hook for anything because you haven't done anything. So you're just sending them the balance sheet they already have. Okay, so look at the balance sheet real quick. Orient yourself with their chart of accounts. Look at their income accounts. Look at their expense accounts. Now, let's go to the bank feed. This is really all you have to do. It's really not that complicated. I honestly did not include this in my course when I first made my course because doing bookkeeping for a cleanup project is really not any different than just doing regular bookkeeping. Instead of just doing 1 week or even 1 month of bookkeeping, now instead you're just doing 12 months of bookkeeping. So it's really not that much different. A couple strategies, a couple tips, a couple tricks. Look for checks and wires and bank deposits and ACH withdrawals, Venmo payments, ATM withdrawals, Cash App, and PayPal. That's pretty much it. Look for those transactions in the bank feed and export those into an Excel file. Straight from the bank feed, you can export transactions into an Excel file and send these to your clients as an attachment in an email. Say, hey, here's a list of all of your bank deposits from 2024. Is this all income? If it is, great. You can simply select all of those transactions and record them as sales or income. Here is a list of all your Cash App payments. What were these? Are these payments to vendors or contractors? Do you have W-9s for these vendors and contractors? What are these Cash App payments? Same thing with Venmo and PayPal. The thing is, whenever they swipe their debit card or their credit card, or even pay for something online, you're able to see the bank detail. So you don't really have to ask questions. Like if they take their debit card and go to Walmart and buy something, you're going to see on January 15th at Walmart, they spent $100. You can see that. You can say, oh, that's probably either office supplies or job supplies. That's easy. Or if they paid their, utility bill or their insurance payment, if they paid that online, you're going to see the bank detail flow through the bank feed into QuickBooks. So you can see who they paid. And usually based on who they paid, you can make an educated guess at what they bought. That's all bookkeeping is. Who did you pay? What did you buy? What did you buy is the category or the chart of accounts. So if they're using their debit card or credit card, that's pretty simple. It gets challenging when they're sending wires, ACH withdrawals, doing bank deposits, and also writing checks because we don't have that information. So it's good to get that out of the way in the beginning, especially with a big cleanup project. So export all of those transactions, all the checks. Say, hey, here's a list of all your checks. I am not able to see the check image because I don't have access to your bank. So can you please tell me who did you pay and what did you buy with these checks? Now, here's a great opportunity. If you want to give me view-only access to your bank, then I can actually log in. I can get all of this information on my own. So that's a great opportunity for you to get view-only access to your clients' bank accounts. It makes your job much easier because you can see checks and you can also see bank statements. Highly recommend always try to get view-only access to your clients' bank accounts and credit cards if you can. If you don't have it, send them a list of checks and mobile deposits and say, hey, what was this? Can you please provide a little bit more information? I'm not able to see who this check was written to. Could you please clarify? And then once you get those transactions exported and sent over to the client, there's nothing more you can do with that. So now you're going to go through the debit card and credit card and online transactions. Now you're just going to look at the vendor and then you're going to use your best judgment. So if they have a long list of Home Depot transactions, the cool thing is you can go into the search bar in the bank feed and you can just type in Home Depot and you can select all of the Home Depot transactions and then you can edit all of them at once. And then you can choose a vendor, Home Depot, category, job supplies, hit add, and all of a sudden you've recorded 100 transactions in 30 seconds. Other times there's going to be one-off transactions, just individual transactions. If you don't know who the vendor was, if you're not able to find out, you could usually go to Google type in the vendor and do a quick Google search, you can usually figure out, oh, this was a hardware store. Oh, this was a restaurant. That was a hotel. That was a gas station. You can usually find out. If you can't find out, here's where you're going to have to use your best judgment. Here's where it gets a little, it's up to you. If you don't know what they bought, you have a couple options. It all depends on the dollar amount. It also all depends, you can kind of tell I'm hesitating a little bit because this is a sensitive subject here because some people might feel differently about this. It all depends on the dollar amount. It all depends on the client. It all depends on their level of communication. It all depends on their level of interest. Some clients are going to be super detail oriented, great at communicating, quick to respond to your questions, and they might care a lot more. Other clients will never answer your questions. They will never respond to your emails. They will never check their transactions. They could not care less how their transactions are being recorded. They just want to know that it's done so they can file their taxes and they can move on with their life. And then there's going to be people in between those two extremes, which is fine. I'm not forcing my clients to care about their bookkeeping. I am simply always trying to do the best that I can do as a bookkeeper. So if there's questions, it depends on the dollar amount and it depends on the number of, so if you're doing a cleanup project and they have 100 transactions and there's 10 that you don't know, ask about all 10 of them. But if they're doing a cleanup project and there's 1,000 transactions and there's 100 that you don't know, it's still only 10% of the transactions, but 100 transactions is a lot of questions. So maybe start with the big ones. Maybe pick out the largest 20 transactions. Maybe just look at transactions more than $100. And this is just for a cleanup project. Like if you're asking questions about 10 months ago and it's a $32 charge, like you just have to be reasonable. If it's a $3,000 charge, absolutely. But if it's a $32 charge from 10 months ago, let's be reasonable. Let's not waste our time. Maybe just throw that into job supplies and move on. Now, I'm not saying that you should just randomly guess how to categorize all the transactions. Always do your best. Ask about checks and wires and bank deposits. Look at the vendor, look at the bank detail, do a Google search, do some research, use your best judgment, ask questions, but be reasonable. Don't send your client a list of 200 transactions that are all less than $20. That's going to stress them out. It's probably going to make you look bad, and it's just not a good use of anybody's time. If it's more than $50, if it's more than $100, if it's only 10 or 20 transactions, absolutely, ask questions. But if it's a bunch of little numbers and you can't figure it out for a cleanup project, sure. If you're doing bookkeeping in real time, and they have a transaction from 5 days ago that's only $4, but you still don't know what it is, $4 still probably wouldn't ask, but maybe if it's like a $35 transaction and it happened 4 days ago, then maybe I would ask. But if it's a $35 transaction, it happened 10 months ago and I'm doing a big cleanup project, I'm categorizing over 1,000 transactions, just be reasonable. Use your best judgment. Ask questions, but don't ask too many questions. That's pretty much it. Honestly, cleanup project, all the transactions are in the bank feed. Use your best judgment, ask questions, look at the bank detail, look for common transactions. Most business owners have trends. They'll go to the same restaurants, the same gas stations. They'll pay utilities and insurance and interest payments to the same companies every month. So usually there's trends. Usually you can select multiple transactions and record them. Of course, ask questions with your clients. Don't be afraid to set up meetings. Be like, hey, here's a long list of questions. Can we just schedule like a quick 30-minute meeting? And that way we can go over some things. That might be really helpful. And then also before you get started, maybe it wouldn't hurt to meet with the client and say, hey, like, is there anything you think I should know before we get started? Really great example. If you have a restaurant, a bar, a restaurant, and maybe they hire musicians every Friday and Saturday night. That would be really useful information. Hey, you're probably going to see checks written to random people once a week or twice a week for $200 or $300. Anytime you see that, it's not restaurant employees, but instead it's most likely a musician. So that's just like a very specific example that if you get that information before you start doing their bookkeeping, it might make it a lot easier for you. So set up a meeting before you get started, halfway through, after you're all done. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask them if there's anything they think that might help you before you get started. And then once you've categorized all the transactions, you just reconcile accounts like we always do, generate the profit and loss like we always do, and that's really it. That's all there is to a cleanup project. It's an amazing way to make a large amount of money upfront, and it's also a great way to onboard a recurring monthly client. So I hope this video was helpful. If you're watching in my course, continue learning in the course. Let me know if you have any questions. If you're watching this on YouTube, check out all my other videos, subscribe to my channel, leave me a comment, send me an email. I would love to hear your thoughts and your questions. I hope you all have a great day.